Patrik, you have been a part of the Industry Dialogue that is operating for 1 year now. Can you describe the purpose a bit of this dialogue and the work that has been done during the first year?
What we can see from telecommunications around the world is that whereas there are a range of human rights which business need to respect, the most material ones for telecom operators and vendors are freedom of expression and privacy. So what this industry dialogue and the collaboration with the GNI is all about is that there is a firm win-win to address the challenges to respect freedom of expression and privacy together. So that's what this collaboration is all about. The Telecoms Industry Dialogue on freedom of expression and privacy had a draft which we shared with external stakeholders a year ago here in Stockholm. At the time also we had 3 objectives. One was to launch the principles, and we have done so now in March this year. The second one was to find the best home for the initiative, and we're happy to work together with the Global Network Initiative. And the third one is, of course, to work individually as companies and together in the industry dialogue to implement these principles. And that's the work that we're doing right now.
Susan Morgan, you are representing GNI here. What is your role in this?
So let me say a little bit about the Global Network Initiative first. So GNI was set up at the end of 2008 and really focused on the free expression and privacy challenges in the information communication technology sector. We bring together companies, human rights groups, investors and academics and try to help companies to find an ethical way forward when they face requests from governments that might impact the freedom of expression and privacy rights of their users. The way that we do this is by having a set of principles and implementation guidelines that members of GNI commit to implement in their companies, and then the companies also commit to an independent process of assessment in whether they're meeting those commitments. Recognising the importance of the telecommunications sector in the ICT sector, we're really pleased to have this collaboration with the Industry Dialogue over the next 2 years and very much look forward to working with them.
It sounds to me a little bit the same, you're doing the same, but what is actually the difference?
So I think, I think the starting point, I guess, is different in some ways. So I think the issues that some of the telecommunications companies face are different in some ways to the companies who joined GNI initially. So the founding companies for GNI were Google, Microsoft and Yahoo. So I think one of the purposes for this collaboration is really for us to be able to work together over the 2-year period and see if there are things that we can learn from each other and see if there's a common way forward.
You had your first joint meeting this week. What was the outcome?
I think the outcomes this week were that we plan to hold a number of meetings over the next 2 years. We want to find a way of sharing learning and best practice between GNI and the Industry Dialogue. We've agreed to hire a facilitator at GNI to work with the Industry Dialogue, and we hope to be making that announcement fairly soon. So I think these are good outcomes from our first meeting. It's not surprising in some ways that telecommunication companies are being put under the spotlight right now, I don't think. I think if we look at the UN guiding principles that came out in 2011, there's clearly a responsibility for companies in relation to human rights. And I think that with the Arab Spring and other issues that have been seen in the last couple of years, it's not surprising that there's some focus on the telecommunications industry. I think what's important is that both through the Industry Dialogue and now with the relationship with GNI, there's a commitment to start to address some of the challenges and the issues that are being faced.
But among the rules of playing in each country is you have to provide services for the government and so on. So how should we handle it in non-democratic states then?
Yeah, what this is all about is to define together what I would call a point of challenge. So when we get excessive requests from authorities, we need to define together a way and push a point of challenge so that we can protect our customers and minimize the risks for individuals.
What do you think is the first step?
I think from a global network initiative perspective, I think there are a number of core things. I think the first is really about integrating into the way in which a company operates consideration of free expression and privacy issues. So whether it's from the markets that companies are operating in, whether it's the products and services that they're selling or the technology that they're developing, it's understanding in each of those aspects of the business what the risks might be and then developing mitigation strategies around those risks. I think that's the first step.
And it's important to say that we don't have all the answers. That's why we need to work together, not only the GNI and the Telecom's Industry Dialogue, but with all stakeholders that work together to protect and respect human rights, in this case freedom of expression and privacy.
And finally, how do you think we are going to influence governments in the right way?
So if I talk about the way that GNI does that at the moment, from a GNI perspective, working on sort of policy and advocacy issues directly with governments is clearly one of the things that we do. And having companies at the table together with other stakeholders like human rights groups, investors and academics means that when we provide feedback on regulatory or legislative proposals around the world that are troubling from a free expression and privacy point of view, it isn't companies doing it alone, they're doing it with other stakeholders via GNI, and I think that's one effective way in which companies can work with other actors to try and push back on the governments.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.